A mother comes running through the quiet streets, breathless, desperate, holding on to hope with shaking hands. But when she finally reaches the place she believes will save everything, she is met with a silence that changes everything. No cries, no answers, only the painful truth that she has arrived too late. And nothing will ever be the same again. This is the emotional storm building inside Call the Midwife. Season 16, a season where time, fate, and human choices begin to collide in heartbreaking ways. A season where saving lives is no longer just about medical skill, but about timing. And sometimes, timing is the one thing no one can control. The world of Call the Midwife has always been built on fragile moments. Moments where a single decision can change the future of a mother, a child, or an entire family. But Season 16 steps into a darker emotional space, where those fragile moments begin to break more often than they heal. The weight of everything that has already happened in the previous seasons still hangs in the air, like a memory that refuses to fade. The loss, the changes, and the shifting future of Nonata's house have left the team standing on uncertain ground. As the new season begins to take shape, the emotional tone feels heavier than ever before. The midwives are still doing what they have always done, rushing into homes, comforting frightened women, and bringing life into the world. But now, there is a growing sense that not every story will end with relief. Not every baby will cry at the right time. Not every mother will make it through her journey the way she should. And then comes the central thread that changes everything: the arrival of a mother who is already too late. Her story does not begin with joy or expectation. It begins with urgency, a situation that spiraled out of control long before anyone could intervene. By the time she reaches help, the situation has already crossed a point of no return. The midwives do everything they can, but even experience and dedication sometimes meet their limits. This moment becomes more than just a case. It becomes a reflection of the world around them. A reminder that life outside Nonata's house is becoming more unpredictable, more strained, and more emotionally demanding than ever before. Every knock at the door now carries the weight of uncertainty. Every call could be the one that changes everything. Inside Nonata's house itself, the emotional strain is equally visible. The sisters and nurses are no longer just dealing with medical challenges. They are dealing with emotional exhaustion. Years of service have built strength, but also silent wounds that are not easily spoken about. Sister Julienne continues to hold the team together, but even her calm presence cannot fully hide the sense that the ground beneath them is shifting. The absence of stability becomes a quiet character in itself this season. The routines that once defined their lives are being interrupted more often. Resources feel stretched, time feels shorter, and every new case feels like it carries more emotional weight than the last. The midwives are still strong, still committed, but there is a growing understanding that strength alone cannot fix everything. And in the middle of all this, the story of the mother who arrives too late continues to echo. Not just as a single tragedy, but as a symbol of what this new chapter is trying to say. That sometimes, despite every effort, despite every prayer, and every skill, life does not always give a second chance. And that truth is what makes this season feel so different from everything that came before it. Because Season 16 is not just about what is saved, it is about what is lost in the process of trying. The arrival of the mother who is already too late does not end with shock. It slowly unfolds into something far more painful. Because what makes her story devastating is not just the outcome, but everything that happened before she ever reached Nonata's house. The questions begin to rise in silence. Why did she wait so long? Who was there with her when things started going wrong? And most importantly, could anything have changed her fate if time had moved differently? But Call the Midwife. Season 16 does not rush to answer these questions. Instead, it allows the weight of uncertainty to settle in. The midwives are trained to act quickly, to think clearly under pressure, but even they feel the pressure of helplessness when a case slips beyond their control. In this moment, experience is not enough. Knowledge is not enough. Even compassion cannot rewrite what has already been written by time. Inside Nonata's house, the atmosphere begins to change in subtle but noticeable ways. Conversations become quieter, laughter feels shorter. Even the smallest cases are treated with a deeper seriousness, as if everyone is aware that the next emergency could carry the same unbearable outcome. The house that once felt like a place of healing now feels like a place carrying invisible emotional weight. Sister Julienne senses this shift more than anyone else. She has always been the steady presence, the voice of calm in chaos. But even she begins to show moments of reflection that go beyond routine leadership. There is a growing awareness that the world they are serving is changing, and not always in ways they can control. Her faith remains strong, but even faith is tested when human limits are reached again and again. Meanwhile, the younger midwives struggle in their own way. For them, every difficult case feels personal. They entered this profession with hope, believing that effort and care could always lead to a positive outcome. But Season 16 slowly challenges that belief. It introduces situations where effort is still present, care is still given, but the result remains heartbreakingly unchanged. That is where the emotional weight of this season truly builds, not in loud tragedy, but in quiet acceptance of things beyond control. The mother's story becomes a silent shadow over the team. Even when they move on to other patients, her case lingers in their thoughts. It becomes the kind of memory that returns at night, when everything else is quiet, not because they failed her, but because they could not reach her in time. That difference matters deeply to them, even if the outside world may never fully understand it. And as more cases come through Nonnatus House, the pattern begins to feel unsettling. Time is becoming an invisible enemy. Delays in reaching help, hesitation in seeking care, and unexpected complications all start to play a larger role in outcomes. The midwives find themselves asking harder questions, not just about medicine, but about society, access, and the quiet struggles people face before they ever ask for help. This is where Season 16 shifts its emotional direction. It is no longer just about birth and recovery. It becomes about timing, awareness, and the fragile space between hope and loss. Every story feels like it could tip either way at any moment. And that uncertainty creates a tension that runs through every interaction. The mother who arrived too late becomes more than just a case. She becomes a reminder that in their world, the biggest battles are not always fought in delivery rooms. Sometimes they are fought long before anyone even knows there is a battle to fight. As the echoes of these unfolding tragedies begin to settle, one truth quietly rises above everything else. Call the midwife. Season 16 is no longer just about saving lives. It is about confronting the moments when life cannot be saved in time. The story of the mother who arrived too late does not simply close with loss. It leaves behind a deeper silence, the kind that lingers in every hallway of Nonnatus House, in every glance exchanged between the midwives, and in every decision they will now have to make. Because once you have faced a moment like that, nothing ever feels the same again. Every knock on the door carries a question. Every emergency carries a fear they cannot fully shake. Yet, even in this growing weight of sorrow, Call the Midwife does not lose its heart. Instead, it shows something even more powerful. Resilience that does not shout, but quietly survives. The midwives continue to show up. They continue to care. They continue to stand beside women in their most vulnerable moments. Even when they know that outcomes are no longer guaranteed, Season 16 becomes a reflection of life itself, beautiful, unpredictable, and sometimes unbearably unfair. It reminds us that not every story is written with perfect timing, and not every ending arrives with closure. But even in the absence of certainty, compassion still matters. Presence still matters. Trying still matters. And that is where the true strength of Nonnatus House lies. Not in perfect outcomes, but in unwavering commitment, even when hope feels fragile, even when the result is not what anyone prayed for. As the next chapter slowly approaches, one question remains hanging in the air. How do you continue to care so deeply when you have seen how quickly everything can be taken away? That is the emotional storm Season 16 is stepping into. And once you enter it, you realize this is not just a story about midwives anymore. It is a story about the price of caring in a world that does not always give you enough time.